G'day viewers, Retro Man here. Today I'll be reviewing episode 9 of Tulsa King. This is the finale. It all ends here. Stay tuned for more.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under. It's the 80s show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man reviews episode 9 of Tulsa King. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man!
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s show. Now today I have my final discussion piece on Tulsa King. That's right guys, this series has come to a very dramatic conclusion. Today I'll be reviewing episode 9 titled Happy Trails, and as this is the final episode, it's a very fitting title for a series that deals with gangsters and cowboys. Anyway guys, let's get straight into this. It kicks off with a flashback to 1997 and we find Chicky and the boys from New York putting the muscle on this guy that's kind of attached to a heating system. He's handcuffed. And what happens is Dwight gets the call that things are getting ugly, and Dwight comes in and basically tells Chicky to lay off the guy. Next minute the fire erupts in this old apartment building, and this guy is going to burn to death in the fire, but Dwight decides to kind of put this guy out of his misery and shoots him instead of him suffering the fate of incineration. So that's how we find out what went down really 25 years ago. This is the incident that found Dwight in jail. So Chicky was involved and Dwight ended up killing a guy. But it's a bit of shady circumstance, but it gave us some more insight and it was a very interesting dramatisation to kick things off with. So let's get into it now. Let's talk about what happened with Stacy. Stacy is still alive after that big dramatic hit in the previous episode, and she's recovering in hospital, and Dwight kind of goes and visits her, and we find out soon enough that what Dwight has done is he's kind of given Stacy $1 million in her bank account. He knows now that Stacy's no longer going to be able to work for the ATF, and he's giving her a little gift, shall we say, to make amends for what's gone down there. And if you're kind of wondering where the $1 million came from, well, what they've actually done is they've stolen the money from Waltrip. I mean, Waltrip is brewing in the background and his funds have now depleted, and Stacy has $1 million there sitting in her account. So there's a bit of a shady gift given to Stacy by Dwight. But meanwhile, Waltrip is absolutely furious that he has no funds in his account and he's coming after Dwight. Meanwhile, Chicky and the gang from New York, they've arrived in Tulsa, and before they can kind of meet with Dwight immediately goes and confronts them. So Dwight actually catches Chicky by surprise, and instead of the physical altercation that we feel that we may get in these fireworks, Dwight kind of has a conversation with him and totally shuts him down and sends him back to New York. So that was an interesting way that was handled. I mean, there was no physical violence. It was kind of just shutting him down verbally and saying, look here, Chicky, I control Tulsa, you control New York, that's your thing, this is mine, get out and go back to New York. So he shut him down, and his men were all there in support of Dwight, and that was an interesting little thing. It kind of wasn't the fireworks we expected, but it diffused. But at the same time, we know Chicky now is back in New York, and Dwight really means business in Tulsa. So let's get back to Waltrip now. I mean, he's really bubbling over. He's overcome with revenge, and he's going to take it out on Dwight. So Waltrip gets the Black Mick Adams bikers together, and they go out to the bar where Dwight is, and it means fireworks. Yes, what happens is they come out, Dwight's inside the bar, Dwight's men are inside the bar, Tyson, Amand, Mitch, they're all in there, and they can hear the motorcycles roaring outside, and basically Waltrip and the gang storm the bar, and it's an absolute bloodbath. I mean, Dwight's there with Armand and Mitch and all of them. They have firearms and they just let them have it. So there's plenty of gunfire and a lot of violence, plenty of bloodshed, and basically Waltrip meets his end. He has a one-on-one with Dwight. Dwight blasts him, and basically it's all over. And it was a very confronting finale, that one. And I must say, yes, everything built up to a real climax there in the bar. It's bloody, it's dramatic, and it's quite frightening, really. And Waltrip is now finito. The Black McAdams gang are over and out. So basically, it kind of seems like there's going to be a happy conclusion to this thing. I mean, the bloodbath is over. The Black McAdams gang's out of the picture. And Dwight's got his daughter out from New York. She's now living in Tulsa with him. And Dwight is at the stables there, and he's kind of trying to connect with his grandchildren, these kids that he's never seen before. And looks like it's going to be a happy ending. Dwight kind of even gets on a horse, and I mean, he's smiling with Margaret, and it's all good. And we cut then to this epilogue conclusion, and we see Dwight and Mitch, and they're happy, and they've reopened the bar. They've kind of re-established the bar now as a bit of a music venue, and everyone seems to be in good spirits, and they're just kicking back listening to some tunes, and Mitch kind of plays a bit of a tune for Dwight, and they share a moment. And then all of a sudden, Dwight's called over to say, "You have a special visitor." And Dwight goes out the front door of the bar, and sure enough, Stacy's there. And Dwight's happy to see her because he really still has feelings for her. And Stacy has a bit of a surprise in store for Dwight, because Stacy's called the police, and they kind of swarm the bar. And then next minute, he finds out that his goose is cooked. Dwight looks around, the police have come, and Dwight is arrested. And we find out, guys, that basically Stacy, to save her own neck, has told the police about the $1 million that Dwight's given her. And Dwight is now in hot water. Stacy has kind of been on a 6-month probation, and she's obviously dobbed in Dwight to get her job back. So everything comes with a cost, guys, and it's a very dramatic conclusion there. So it kind of goes full circle, this series, guys. I mean, it started with Dwight getting out of prison, and now by the end of the series, Dwight is back in the slammer. So I didn't expect that it would go down like that. So it was an interesting, exciting little epilogue, and Stacy kind of gave him up in the end. So this was a very entertaining series. Cowboys and gangsters, and seeing all of this come together in Tulsa. I mean, Dwight really is the Tulsa King of the title. It was a fun series watching him grow his little empire in Tulsa, and how he's dealing with these extra forces coming from New York at times. But overall, a very entertaining series, dramatic, suspenseful, action-filled at times, very intense, violent. Stallone was in good form, and I think these other actors that have surrounded him are very good as well. Stacy played her part. Tyson was always good there as his chauffeur buddy. Armand is actually a good little standover guy and gangster heavy. Chicky, of course, they were all good in their respective roles. Mitch, who runs the bar. So I think they all did their bit. They all added a great flavour to Tulsa King. And if you haven't seen this series, guys, I highly recommend it. I actually felt that it was going to be 10 episodes, but they wrapped it up with 9 episodes, and that last episode went really, really fast. with all these happenings. So all in all, guys, Tulsa King, great series. So that's episode 9 of Tulsa King, a big, gritty, violent finale with a little twist at the end, and it was very satisfying. So I would highly recommend this Stallone series. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. And if you want some more recaps and reviews, go back through my Tulsa King playlist and check out those other episode reviews. It's been a lot of fun, guys. It's been an adventure again with Stallone, and hey, I've really enjoyed it. So until next time, this is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and just as tough as Stallone in Tulsa King. Please subscribe and good night, viewers.